What's up, St. Louis? It's your host, Lucas Farrell of the STL Bucket List Show. The STL Bucket List Show is driven by Bomarito Automotive Group. Bomarito is Missouri's #1 car dealership with over 20 locations, so I guarantee that there's one in your neighborhood. Since the 1970s, Bomarito has sold over 1 million cars, and John and the entire team made us feel completely comfortable when we picked up our new vehicle recently for the family. So I can't thank the Bomarito team enough for driving this episode forward, and enjoy the show.
What's up? It's Marlin Bonds, founder of Hypno Loops. I just finished my interview here on my favorite podcast, STL Bucket List. Make sure you follow them everywhere. These guys are the best. Guys and girls are the best.
If you want to hear about St. Louis, tune into the Bucket List Show weekly. Hear what Marissa and Luke say. It drops every Wednesday. Got a dope new guest every single week. Buckle up for the ride. Who's it gonna be? Who's on the show today? They rep St. Louis. What to do in the loo on a late night, or maybe what to do on a date night. Yeah, Bucket List has you covered. They know what's going on. What's going on? They'll give you, 18 different things to do, or 19 if you need one more to choose. Yeah, the city is a place we call home. A place we call home, yeah.
What's up, St. Louis? We're back with episode 168 of the STL Bucket List Show. We've been highlighting the people, places, and events that make St. Louis special. Got one of those people in the studio today. But before we get into it, I want to take a minute just to shout out everybody that listens every week. We're a grassroots podcast locally here in St. Louis. And really, we have one core mission, and we want to highlight the people, the movers, the shakers, the people that are building things in St. Louis. We have entrepreneurs on the show, artists, athletes. And really, this wouldn't be a show unless we had people listen. So I got a very special guest today. I got Mr. Marlin Bonds in the studio today. I'm going to let him talk about it, but 7-time platinum, 2-time Grammy-nominated, award-winning songwriter, producer from St. Louis, Missouri. But that's not even what we're really focusing on today. We're focusing on the startup. Arch Grants Award winner with his startup, Hypno Loops. It's a new app designed to easily record and create meditations with family and friends. It's a shift. So I want to kind of take it back before the tech business, before all the stuff that you're doing. Tell me about your upbringing.
Okay.
You a St. Louis guy, you're from St. Louis, and yep. So yeah, take us back, like where you went to high school.
Grew up
at
McClure.
Yeah.
Shout out to McClure.
Let's
Comets.
Yeah.
Ferguson Fluorescent. The whole way through. When I was really young, my parents moved us out to the Ferguson Fluorescent area, so we were able to do that.
Yeah.
So that's my stomping ground. Ferguson.
Yeah.
Delwood.
Yeah.
I know and grew up riding my bike all through there, and that's how I kind of came up.
That's awesome. And then when did you get into music then?
I started young. I had my aunt who passed away actually last year. She had a piano in her house. And that was just like the beginning at like 4 or 5 years old. But I discovered the trumpet in 4th grade, and that really stuck with me. And I was fortunate enough to like run into the right people in St. Louis, and they had me like playing jazz in the jazz club, the adult jazz clubs. They really believed in jazz, and especially jazz in St. Louis, and wanted to keep it alive. So that was really where music started to like look like a career path for me in my teenage years. And then I went to college at UMKC. I got a full ride there. I did 2 years there in the conservatory. Is this answer too long?
Yeah, no, you keep going, bro.
Cool.
This is a long podcast. This is a full form.
Oh, I love it.
45-minute podcast.
So
you
perfect.
roll, bro. I want to hear it all.
I got a scholarship there, and that was like the beginning. I was still a little bit of a knucklehead, just getting my head together.
Yeah.
And I got in some trouble at school, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get focused, and I auditioned for a really big school in New Jersey called William Patterson University, and I just sent a tape in on a little recorder, a little handheld, and I got in.
Yeah.
And that was really the beginning to where it was like, oh, the rest of these guys are incredible, and that was the beginning of my.
And what year was that?
That was 2000, or either 99 or 2000. I graduated high school in 95, so yeah.
You don't look like.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say you look very young, bro.
Thank you. I hope I can keep that going. My dad, who I think we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
He also looked very young too.
So wow. So that was in the heyday of music. So were you always in jazz, or did that lead to other genres? Like when you went out to New Jersey, tell me about that moment first of leaving your hometown of St. Louis and going to pursue this career while everybody else was doing
It's
something
depressing.
completely different, bro.
That part?
Yeah.
I had a couple people, I'll shout them out.
Mm,
Marcus Baylor,
mm.
Keon Harold.
Yeah. I've
Um,
been trying to talk to Keon. I want him to be on the show. He's been doing
that's
some cool stuff at Music at the
literally
Intersection. I saw him live.
my brother.
He's amazing.
He's the guy,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
we grew up here playing trumpet together.
Okay. Okay.
He was a freshman, I was a senior,
Yeah.
right? But we have a brotherhood.
Mhm.
And Marcus Baylor, they're 9 times Grammy nominated, right?
Yeah.
They're all heading to the East Coast or already out there. And
Yeah.
I was in UMKC, and I
Right.
was like, I gotta get east.
Mhm.
And so I did have them as kind of like a core to motivate me to do it as well. We were
Right.
kind of doing it a little bit together, but
Yeah.
everybody played different instruments on their own path.
Mhm.
And when I got to New Jersey, it was kind of depressing, man. Everybody was like way better than me, you
Yeah.
know. So
And you were a young kid at that point. Yeah.
yeah, 18 or 19. I
Right.
like bold though,
Yeah.
fearless.
Yeah.
Like in a lot of ways. And I think that's what helped me along the way.
Yeah, no, that's it, and it's a lot because like first you were in Kansas City, but Kansas City feels a lot like St. Louis in a way. You're
Mm-hmm.
close. You can, if you have an issue, you just drive home. It's 3 hours away. It's like
Literally,
there's nowhere you can go when you're in New Jersey. It's like I got to figure it out,
I gotta figure it out.
So you went to New Jersey, and
Mm-hmm.
then talk about some of the stuff you worked on because that's why I kind of wanted to lead in like genres, like projects that you
Mm.
worked on, and like how did you get in those rooms? Were you just relentless or just
At first, it was jazz,
yeah,
right? And the more I pushed myself, like a great example of um, Wynton Marsalis came to St. Louis when I was 16, and kind of like the community here was really supportive. They got me to meet him.
right?
And when I got to New Jersey, one of the first things I did was found out where he lived and went to his house cold.
Yeah. This was cold emails before cold emails.
That was cold emails before cold email. I rung the buzzer to his building and said, "Hey, bro, you met me when I was 16." And he was like, "Oh, I remember you. Come on up."
Buzzed you up. Yep.
I would have never had that experience had I not just
Yeah. Put yourself out there.
done that, which I look back and think is crazy.
Yeah. So jazz, tell me about jazz in the early 2000s because obviously like hip hop was huge at that
Hmm.
time and a lot of people used jazz musicians in hip hop, but also all
Hmm.
other genres.
Yeah.
Um
The jazz world was the scary part for me. Like all my brothers right now that are in music, they're touring musicians, and I knew something in my heart I didn't want to have to tour
mhm.
to make a living. So, like, kind of right out of school, I would say maybe a year out of school, I was realizing, oh, I'm getting some success in this, and I don't want to be traveling.
Yeah.
So that caused me to kind of get curious about production and songwriting and jumping into that world. And
Mhm.
so I did. I just jumped in again
Yeah.
and started making beats and
Mhm.
incorporating the jazz into the beats, like you said. And
Right.
um, that led to I kind of just again passing out CDs in New
Mhm.
York City,
Yeah.
just cold. Ended up finding the right person and gradually found the right person and signed a horrible deal, and got going in the music industry.
Right. But you got it. You got in there. It's
I
just
got in there. I
yeah.
definitely got in there.
Yeah. So what was like that aha moment? Like was there an aha bucket list moment where you're like, "Man, I'm in the studio with this person right now?" Or like did you have one of those early in your career?
Yeah. I will say, you're talking years. Like
Yeah.
we're talking like
We're
it like
skipping through some
we're
times.
skipping through some times, but it was years of like figuring out how to get good at production, how to
Yeah.
make it sound good, how to mix on it, learning Pro Tools,
Yeah.
like really getting into that craft. You're talking about now we're at 2005,
Yeah.
and then I got that deal,
Mhm.
and then 2 years later in 2007, I had my first number 1, and that was my aha moment.
Wow.
I had a number 1 on Billboard with Swiss Beats,
Yeah.
this song called Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And I was teaching.
Yeah.
I was a full-time music teacher at Princeton, like the regional, not the university, the regional school district. I
Yeah.
had been there, tenured, comfortable,
Okay. Oh, so
having,
you were doing both. You were
I
teaching
was,
and producing
I was
at night.
teaching while I was, yeah, producing at night. And then I would go to the city and try to find people to listen to my CDs, come
Wow.
home, get up and go teach the next day.
Right. So
So,
you were the definition of that starving artist at that moment.
oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Like just like all the
yeah,
stories that you hear. Yeah.
hmm
But
yeah.
you never quit though. You kept going. Was there a moment before the Swiss Beats song that you thought like, oh man, I'm just gonna lock in and teach. I'm gonna teach younger. And I'm sure you probably had those moments.
I had them constantly
Yeah.
because it was a
Because you were
grind.
investing in your career. You were buying all the systems, buying
Yeah,
all the things. Like you're
exactly.
like, okay, I'm looking at the P&L now, bro, and I'm losing money.
Not only losing money, but there was like every time I wanted to quit, I would get like a little nugget of something.
Something good would
Something good
happen.
would happen. Like
Yeah.
like I had these guys in a horrible deal, mind you, but
Yeah.
they ended up selling like 2 of my beats, and I was like, oh, maybe I should like keep
And you
going on
saw and you're
this.
like, oh, somebody bought one of those
Yeah,
for
somebody
that
bought
much.
that,
Yeah.
and I think I made like it was a horrible deal. I think we had like a 50-50 deal or something like that. I think I made like 12K
Right.
by selling 2 beats. I was like, this is it was a major label.
Right.
The songs never saw the light of day, but
Yeah.
that bought me more time.
Right.
If you talk to those guys, they'll tell you there would be months where I would just be frustrated not sending in music.
Yeah.
Like when you're signed, you want to be submitting music for them to pitch
Because every
for
time you
you.
send them a new thing, then they send it out, and then it just keeps your name
Exactly.
out there, even though you're throwing stuff at the wall at sometimes. Yeah.
Months would go by. I wouldn't send anything. I was frustrated,
Were you writing
complaining.
to it, or those were just beats? But then you would
Just
also write
hooks.
hooks. Yeah.
So I kind of was always trying to be different, right? So I called myself was Hook Man.
Yeah.
Because all my beats would have hooks on them.
Already.
Chords.
And then they like the hook would be on there and be like, okay, I'm gonna get a singer to redo that. But like I like the way that
Exactly.
sounds. So you were recording it like
Exactly.
it's like almost when you're like we're in the marketing business. It's like, hey, instead of just sending you something, we're gonna send you something and actually do it to show
Mm,
you what it looks like. Then you can
yes.
pay. It's like
Exactly.
giving them a little bit.
Exactly. You can
Plus,
hear
you
the
need to know
song.
what it sounds like because like they could ruin your
Exactly.
beat too sometimes, and you'd be like, bro, why'd you
Exactly.
do that?
I mean, it's a gift and a curse because some artists don't want to hear other ideas.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear choruses.
Right.
But I always had a chorus, and I was gonna stick with that plan. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, and you were writing that, but then when you got into songwriting, you would also help write write whole songs and everything like
Absolutely.
that.
That came about a little bit differently after the Swiss Beats thing.
Yeah,
It went quiet again.
yeah,
I got out of that deal with those guys. I tried another manager. If I can be real, managers have always been my problem.
and they ruined kind of your taste. They put a bad taste in your mouth with the whole industry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll say this. I found this one guy, this one team, and they're still like family to this day. New Heights Entertainment,
mm-hmm.
which is Alan Molina, and it used to be Laurent Bessenson, a guy from Switzerland who's
Okay.
like a genius, right?
Yeah,
And Laurent, we tried a year, didn't work out. Long story short, when I was just like struggling, now it's like 2010, and I'm like,
yeah,
all that money's gone that I made. Like
yeah,
it's bad at this point.
right.
Laurent, I said, Laurent, man, I need help, bro.
Yeah,
I'm talented. But I need help, man.
yeah.
And he's like, look, I'll manage you if you move to LA.
Okay,
And I had like 3K,
right.
and I just
Went there.
went to LA. And he at the time, why I bet on him is he had just helped Lady Gaga like get reset up with her deal. They used to manage Red One or
Mhm.
still do. Red One was like a gigantic producer. So I was like, okay, I'm broke,
Right,
but I'm like close to some people who are like
crushing.
at the very top of the game.
Yeah,
So, and they were at the top of pop,
right.
right? So I'm like hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
So Laurent always saw me as a writer.
Yeah.
So he was like, come to LA. I'm going to put you on the writer circuit, which is just like constant sessions. But
Yeah.
if you start getting some traction, your sessions get better, meaning you get in with some of
The rooms that you're in are better.
the
Yeah.
rooms are better.
Yeah.
And I did that for 3 years with him. And on that third year, a lot happened.
Yeah.
We started having records. We started having singles. I ended up getting a huge deal with Sony.
Yeah.
And then
And that was in the songwriting space.
that was as a songwriter, no beats at that time.
Yeah.
So it's just weird. The way my career is like,
No instruments, no like you're like I got out of what got me here. But then also
it was
like,
a struggle.
Yeah.
It was a struggle.
Yeah.
I started jazz. I
Yeah.
kind of had to finagle my way. I mean, I'm talking about dedication for a decade and a half of like really getting good at that,
Yeah.
shedding it and getting into production,
Mhm.
working hard again, and then dropping that to do songwriting.
Mhm.
And then it came back full circle around 2017. So
Mhm.
I ended up getting like a bunch of singles. Labels started recognizing me. I still love my career. But if I had to say one weakness that I always had was I wasn't that great at business, number one. So
Mhm.
I got to take the blame for that.
Yeah.
And number two, because of that, I never really had the right team.
Yeah.
And the team is what matters.
Mhm.
Team is what can get you
Right. You were
right.
always kind of solo or bouncing or like had bad
Yeah.
experiences, and then you didn't want to sign to a new team because you just had a bad experience with another team.
Yeah.
So,
Or when I was finally like in the highest demand of my life, I signed with the number one management team in music at the time.
right.
Really like they were at the top. And
Yeah.
guess what? We were all signing there and there was so much saturation there.
Right.
We struggled for attention,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, man, I'm like making horrible decisions. I got to get better at business. And that was my focus.
So 2017. So Money in the Bank dropped 2007.
7. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
So you're
That's
talking
18
about,
years now.
yeah.
Almost that's about to come up on its 20th
Yeah.
anniversary. That was in Step Up too, wasn't it? A movie
It
too.
was in the movie Step Up. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, Swiss Beats kills. I mean, he's still, killing it.
He's a giant.
Yeah.
I mean, I still look at those credits and like it's like me and right under that is like Kanye West and
Yeah.
like, you know? So
Yeah.
like
You're like, damn.
to me,
Yeah.
it was an incredible experience. And yeah, I love the career I had in music and have,
Yeah.
it wasn't what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I'm gonna have like a Beatles skin. I still may, but like 20 number ones, like one of the biggest songwriters and producers of all time, that type of career.
Yeah.
Team.
Mm-hmm.
I never had the right people around me to actually I don't even think it was talent. I think the talent was there. I just
Yeah.
couldn't figure out how to align myself with the right people.
So you had a moment in your career probably like around that. Was it around that 2017 time where you're like, okay, I want to make a shift,
Yeah.
or like what was there? Was there burnout? Was it just,
It was burnout, it was frustration, it was putting up big points
Mhm.
and then realizing like I'm never gonna be able to sustain this. Really, like this is like I'm tired of this.
Right.
Meaning, like, okay, you get in the room, you work with whoever, the big artist, right, and then you get a song on the album. Maybe you get a single, but if you get just a song on the album, when you look at the royalty statement, you're like, this is not like first that took years to
Yeah.
even get in the room, get the placement, right, and then the reward financially is like not even enough to get you through a couple months in LA.
Right.
So it's like, how do I even do that's just
Like I
not
can't do this I can't make hits every day, So
I,
it's just like
you don't get to control it.
right.
You could make a diamond of a song. Labels can hear it, record it on the artist, and then they'll like there's so many factors that make it a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like they'll pay $100K for a feature, and you're like, oh, they invested $100K to put this feature on this song. This is gonna be a hit, and then botch the marketing. Ask anybody in the music industry. It is like the lottery to have a big hit,
Yeah.
unless you're like fully
Yeah,
established.
if you're a hit maker. I
Yeah.
was listening to Mike Posner and he was talking about his first two songs, like they
Mhm.
went crazy,
Yeah.
and then they just kept going down from there,
Yeah.
down, and then they put him on the shelf.
Mhm.
And he was talking, then he ended up writing a couple things for Justin Bieber, and then he
Mhm.
like got back into the game.
Yeah.
But like the label owned him, and he couldn't even record the songs anymore because his last songs weren't doing well. So then
Yeah.
he had to write and give them away.
Mhm.
Pretty much, they're like, "Well, Mike wrote this. Let's just give it to somebody," and they
Yeah.
give it to young Justin Bieber, and it pops off. Or Ed
Mhm.
Sheeran has the same stories of songs that he wrote, but you never know. Like if I recorded that song, or if young Justin Bieber recorded it, it's just who gets their hands on it at the right time. But that's crazy, man. That seems like
Yeah.
cutthroat. It's
It's
just
constant cutthroat. Here's the
it,
thing. I'm not saying that it's not possible if you
yeah,
know what you're doing.
right,
Right? Again, my issue wasn't talent. I really just wasn't good at good enough at business
Yeah.
to work those rooms in the right way, work those relationships, ask the right questions.
Yeah.
I think a lot of artists want it to just be about talent. I wish it was just about talent, but in that environment, it's a jungle. And you might get lucky and have the right team for a while, but for every person that you see a Mike Posner, there's probably in one given year 1,000 at least Mike Posners.
Yeah.
Name any songwriter.
Right.
There's like 500 exactly the same.
Right.
It's like saying, "Oh, Michael," there's nobody ever as good as Michael Jordan. But there was, but Michael Jordan had
Parents, a
he had the
team, yeah.
trajectory to get that skill all the way there, and it's most people with the same level skill or sometimes even more can't get through
Or
all the
something happens, or
nonsense.
it's like something happened in their childhood where, you hear about like the kid that gets hurt in high school, or maybe the kid that is in a bad neighborhood that gets into a bad situation. That Michael Jordan might be in prison right now.
Literally.
You never know.
Literally.
But Michael Jordan, I don't know who his parents are, but let's just say his parents guided him. That's his team. And then he got another team. He got Phil Jackson, the best coach in the history of the NBA.
Literally.
So it's like,
there is a magic in that.
Yeah.
And I learned that late.
Yeah.
I learned that late because if I had known that, so like
mentorship, or just simply just putting
chemistry,
people around you. Yeah.
There's a chemistry. This is a secret in the music industry. And whoever's listening, every pro will vouch for this. I'm an industry pro, even though there's people with bigger careers than me.
Yeah.
I know everything about the music, and all the executives know me.
Yeah.
So the point I'm making is there is a magic. Sometimes it's the production team that just has it. They just know what to do. But sometimes it's the right artist and the right producer. I like to use like a Janet Jackson and a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Like that combination.
They knew it would go viral every time they put something.
They had a chemistry that they just could see it and feel it in the room. Or Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson. It's like they met each other at the right time and made one of the highest selling albums of all time. But if Michael Jackson had tried somebody else, maybe we would have never found this. It was the orchestral arrangements. It was Quincy Jones's brain and the magic of Michael Jackson. Those two together, if you look at Michael, no shade to Michael Jackson, but his albums after Quincy never did that. Right? And you could see that, you will see that exact same formula happen. You'll see people working with whatever crew that has magic, and then 95% of the time when that crew stops working, both.
And that's just because beef or whatever happens, like
whatever
something
the
happens.
reason
So
is.
like in a modern example, like maybe you think of like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, or Dr. Dre and Eminem.
Yeah.
Like Eminem went to Dr. Dre, and it's just like that's the crew.
Yeah.
And then now you see Eminem still trying to do stuff, but it doesn't. It's not the same.
It's not the same. I mean, it's been
25 years.
Yeah.
But you were in LA like probably during that time. I'm thinking of like DJ Khaled. I like some of his stuff, but DJ Khaled and Drake or whoever it might be, like they put out a song, it's in the top 10.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yep.
And it's just like
if you look at the combination of producers and artists, you will see it so much. It's so consistently proven that there's a chemistry, there's a magic that's real.
Yeah.
And
then they also have a writer in there with them too that you might never know about,
Yeah. Like Timberland and Missy Elliott.
Right.
Or, I mean, we can do all genres. It's the same.
Yeah.
Like, what's that crew? Don't stop us now.
I know what you're talking about.
That's
like a indie rock kind of thing, or
I'm trying to think of it in my brain right now, just because there's so much we got to talk about. But I'm just saying that chemistry is real, and if I was an artist,
and you don't think did you ever have that, or did you always feel like you never?
Yes, and didn't know that I had it.
Yeah,
I did have it. There's multiple of us who look back, and I'm sure are like, man, we were really moving fast when we stuck together.
Yeah,
and ego or whatever.
Yeah,
the reasons are, it changes the trajectory, but you got to be looking for it. That's again, just like it just takes time, man, to really know how to be a hit maker in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find your crew.
So you talk about, that industry. Now you're an entrepreneur. It's always been entrepreneurship. You probably just didn't know you were an entrepreneur at the time. You were
Yeah.
always advocating for even when you were handing out CDs, you were an entrepreneur at that time, but you just thought you were a musician.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you're an entrepreneur in the startup space. 2000, you didn't even know what the word startup was.
Literally.
Now 2025, 25 years later, was this your first business outside of the music industry?
No.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about some of those.
We had a big fail in 2005.
Oh wow.
Wait, was it 2005? 2004.
Yeah.
So, I and a partner of mine, a musician friend, we had this idea. Wait, let me just think of the years. I'll come back to the years. I think it was 2004, 5, right? I think it had to be around then. I'm teaching.
Yeah.
I took a second mortgage out on my house to create this idea where you'll know this idea now, where you can lease beats. It was called rentatrack.com.
Yeah.
And we would put beats out there. And if you're a kid in Arkansas,
you
wherever.
You want to post one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? BeatStars is worth $300 million. They came out with that in 2007. Yeah. We tried it.
Yeah.
Again, knew nothing about business, didn't know what we had in our hands, didn't know how to fight for that idea, didn't know how to push people to convince them.
Yeah. How to design the site the way it needed to be designed.
I had a little cash, so we had a solid design.
Yeah.
It was literally more just like, okay, what do we even do now?
Right.
Do we market this? There was no social media.
Right.
We talked to one investor. He said, I'll give you $500,000 if you can match it. I was like, well, how am I going to come up with $250,000? I was like, all right, well, this idea, I just wasted that money and I moved on.
Right.
And then now, years later,
BeatStars
is the exact concept.
Right. And it's still active to this day. People are still.
I love BeatStars. Shout out to BeatStars. I love BeatStars.
Yeah.
And because they perfected it. They knew what they were doing.
Right.
Team.
They had a team of something.
Yeah.
Something.
They had the money. They had.
So you've been in the startup space. So you always kind of had that
just
bug.
A dreamer.
You always had that bug to start something.
I think I did.
Yeah.
I think I did. I've always.
So basically, it's like the Amazon of beats, and you just type in what you want. It literally says try searching trap or sad or Juice WRLD style beat, and you just find it.
And they've got a gazillion beats in there.
Yeah.
Hits are being found in there now. Artists use that.
Yeah.
Instead of meeting me in the studio, they might just go on there, find some inspiration.
Yeah.
Lease the beat or buy it for $100.
Right.
You know what I mean?
$30, and this is some high school kid out of the middle of nowhere that made something on Fruity Loops.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like he made on FL Studio, and it's just a banger.
Exactly. And what'll happen is let's just say and this is mostly hip hop.
Yeah.
I'm the artist. I'll have a producer that is maybe signed to me, and I'll collab with this guy. I'll make him collab with this guy to make it, mix it, make it sound all the way right.
Yeah.
And with the publishing. So right. Big business, man.
Right.
These kids are having big songs.
Yeah, and then they post it on TikTok, and it goes viral.
Yeah.
And then they're, the TikToks change the game.
TikTok has definitely changed the game.
Wow. So you were in the startup space. So you had that startup. Then you moved to LA shortly after that. Probably living in California, you got to see some of these tech startups, and different things like that. Yeah. So what led you back to St. Louis, though? Because now you're back in the Lou.
Yeah.
I mean,
we had a couple tragedies. My father passed away from COVID.
Oh, wow.
And, my mother was, I think, 70 at the time, and I was 69 or 70. And I was like, man, I don't know. This was sudden. We weren't expecting it. I didn't know how I felt about her being alone, so I started a back and forth from LA to St. Louis. And then my wife and I had a son early.
Yeah.
And we thought he was going to survive, and he ended up passing away. So he was born a little early, and we were like, oh, we're just going to have this miracle baby, And when he passed away, we still get choked up talking about it. That just floored us. And we were like,
and that was after your dad, too.
After my dad. We were like, I don't want to do this LA thing anymore. I don't want to chase this type of thing anymore.
Lifestyle, yeah.
I want to focus on building a family. And our daughter's now 3 months old, so we do have a new baby. But those two things slowed me down enough to where I could feel how sick I was, how high my anxiety was. Um, Even trying to slow down, I started having anxiety attacks, meaning like just waking up in the middle of the night with an anxiety attack. So
Right.
my brain was really sick at the time,
Mhm.
and I knew I had to do something, man. So what do? I live in a studio virtually. I know I can make anything, and I went there and started creating these meditations. And initially, I would whisper, I am healed from anxiety. Right? I would just That's the key to our loop. That's what our tech does. That's what our patent is about. It actually loops your meditation
Mhm.
with alternating volumes. It creates this rhythm for you, right? I
Mhm.
didn't know that at the time. I was just making something that I wanted to listen to.
You made it for you.
I made it for me as a producer.
Right.
I put music with it. I produced them. They were at the time like an hour or two long.
Mhm.
I would just play them, and it it was almost like a lullaby for my brain because my brain was constantly feeding me anxious thoughts, like
Mhm.
wormholes of just intrusive scenarios that just kept me
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
So I just would play these loops, these
Mhm.
hypno loops. That's where I get the name. It's like I'm not hypnotizing myself, but it kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
And your tagline, take control of your thoughts, and
Take
like
control of your
on
thoughts.
your is big. It's not somebody else talking to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But we let people.
Yeah.
We as we got more into it, we saw people doing all kinds of things.
Right.
But that's where what's you asked me what brought me back to St. Louis. It was those two tragedies, and when
Mhm.
I got here, um, I kind of didn't know how the music thing would go because I was like living a dream in LA. Like my sync business was like crushing everybody. Everything was working.
Mhm.
But when I got to St. Louis, I'm not gonna lie, a lot of that started to slow down.
Mhm.
Just not being in LA, not being able to, not in the rooms, not taking the meetings, not
Yeah.
being there.
Mhm.
They want to work with people in LA most of the time.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but most of the time.
Yeah.
And I was playing around with this idea, and I decided to do a little bit of an investment in a just like a market analysis,
Mhm.
and that's what kind of started me thinking about this as a business because really it was just helping me,
Right.
you
And
know.
this was in 2020, or this was
2022 right now.
2022?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So you
yeah,
were
yeah.
just kinda doing it, you just had it, and you're like, "Hey,
I
this
was
helps me."
sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
shocked that after a couple days of listening to this before bed, like
Yeah.
I feel better.
Yeah.
Like I would just be sitting there full of anxiety,
Right.
just trying to like watch TV. I'm like, yo, my brain is really sick. It had a ton of bad habits
Yeah.
that at the time I didn't know whether I could change those habits or not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So now
Yeah.
I'm in St. Louis, kind of just trying to heal myself.
Right. So you took that time and kind of got in the lab, in the studio. I mean, first of all, I'm sorry to hear those tragedies that happened to you, and I'm so happy that
Yeah.
you guys got that baby girl to
Yeah, man, she's doing great. We're
I have
super
a
excited.
8-week-old girl at home, so I'm 2
Congratulations,
months.
man.
She was born March 2nd.
It goes fast.
Yeah, she was born March 2nd. So
Congrats,
yours
man.
was probably what, February 15th?
February 5th.
Oh, 5th. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, no, I know. I can only imagine going through that. So you had this career shaking realization when you were in LA, and it's like almost like, and we're starting to see it all over the country. People are starting to slow down their lives a little bit,
Mhm.
and you only get so much time. You have this baby girl. You get maybe 10 years in life where you're the most important person of her life,
Yeah.
and then after that,
Yeah.
she has friends and other stuff,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
after that, it's just like, so you have these 10 years, you're like, let me be here. And then now she gets to be around your mom,
Yes,
so she wouldn't have got that
exactly.
in LA. You
No
probably would have
way.
saw her once a year at Christmas or something like that.
Twice max.
Maybe. She
Mhm.
wouldn't even know her, her granny,
Literally. Mhm.
so just those little things that you guys have are a blessing enough. And now you're kind of making a shift into Hypno Loops. So I want to talk a little bit more about the business side of it because I'm an entrepreneur myself. So as you
Mhm.
guys, you're an Arch Grants winner, you've won some other startup competitions and different
Mhm.
things like that. But now you're on the market now, right?
Yeah,
You're in the App
officially.
Store. Yep,
Mhm.
yep, I saw that. So talk to me about that because that was probably a big day getting to market.
Huge day. I gotta give man. I always say it, but Arch Grants, man, that program really gave us a shot
Yeah.
because I had bootstrapped it to a point,
Yeah.
and I've just based on market research, I really felt like I had something, and I just getting no after no after no. I'm applying for all types of you know, like startup competitions,
Yeah.
but also
YPO stuff.
incubators.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just applying everywhere, getting constant no's, and I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna actually develop this into a real product.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arch Grants, man, I'm not gonna lie, all those no's really did help me tighten my pitch, get my business together,
Mm-hmm.
talk about what I really felt was valuable,
Right.
and I think that's what helped Arch Grants really give us the award.
Mm-hmm.
And that funding we used directly to hire like a full-time coder. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. It
and
went straight
a
to
few
use
months
right
later,
away.
boom, here we are in the App Store with Hypno Loops,
Mm-hmm.
and Hypno Loops Kids is like a week or two out from
Wow.
launching as well. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's huge that you had the kids component in there because I saw this
Mhm.
one 17 plus. This one that I'm
Yeah,
reading at. Yep.
it is.
Yeah.
And we got it because we gave the app away for free for about 4 months
Yeah.
last year, and we had about 100 users, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more, but 100 users or so. And all the different case studies they were doing, the different scenarios they were. I would love to share some of those testimonies. That's what helped us realize. And we partnered with associate professor of neurology
Yeah, I was gonna ask that too because
at
you said
WashU.
rooted in neuroscience. You
Yeah,
know.
so we have a partnership. We have a study going at WashU
Yeah.
studying the effects of it on the stress hormone cortisol.
Yeah.
Basically, how much will your stress go down by listening to this for 15 minutes?
Right.
But they helped us get the science together, helped me realize that doctor and other doctors helped me realize how closely this is tied and how it's rooted, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I'm just making something cool in the studio, but when I put it in their hands, they were like, what this actually is.
Right. They're putting value to it. Like
Yes.
it's not just for you anymore. They're like this could actually because I saw you had different categories. So you had finance, grounding, mental health, sleep, healing. So you have all these different categories, and I'm sure with
Hmm.
kids you're gonna have a bunch of other things going
Hmm.
on.
Hmm.
Which is I think that's really cool that you got them from WashU, and that's another thing. You've got one of these great universities in your backyard.
Right here.
And St. Louis is such a good startup city.
It's the best.
I mean, it's crazy. Had Gabe on here, probably Gabe from March
I
Grants.
love that.
He was on the show about two or 3 months ago, and our business is still a startup. Like we're still trying to figure out what we even do. Sometimes, we're a media company, but we're also a marketing company. It's like hard to kind of figure that out. But I've noticed just from having this podcast, the amount of startup founders that I've had on the show, a lot of them went through Arch Grants and stayed in St.
Mm.
Louis. I'm thinking of Akeem. He's not doing it anymore, but Akeem was working on Flipstick, and have you met
Mm.
Akeem?
I saw him on
Shark Tank.
Shark Tank.
Yeah, he was on
Yeah.
Shark Tank. And he closed his down, but he's doing something else now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like once you get the itch, you're doing something else. But I mean,
Yeah,
I
for
hope
sure.
Hypno Loops is your legacy project.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the goal. I think I like our plan. Like I
Yeah.
said, it's just rolling out now. Like I posted,
You have like 6 posts up right now. Yeah.
but I posted those fresh today
Yeah.
because I had to see what they look like,
On the
make
grid.
adjustments,
Yeah.
with all the different.
Okay, they all went out. Okay, yeah.
So I reposted them today,
Yeah.
and I think they're now final. So we're gonna start running our ads. And
Nice. You wanted the grid to like when people go back to your
Mhm.
page, and then this episode comes out next week. So we'll link people back to your page too.
There you
So
go,
you
yeah.
got next Wednesday. This will come out. So
Oh, killer.
so you talked about the testimony. So the people that are listening right now, give us like your 60-second. First, tell us what Hypno Loops is to you,
Mhm.
to you, your 60-second elevator. But then also after that, we can talk about some of those testimonies that you
Yeah.
talked about. So
Listen, there is no app right now that is designed. We're the world's first app designed for you to record and create meditations with friends and family, period. We needed a concept that was really simple, really easy for you to make meditations in your voice or a loved one's voice that actually has some science behind it. That's what we do.
mhm.
We want it to be easy, frictionless, simple, right? Meditation sounds way out there for most of us. But this is a concept that It's just simple. I don't have to train, learn how to quiet my mind, or go to India. No shade to traditional meditation, but it takes practice.
Mhm.
People are using it, having never meditated, and they're breaking through.
Mhm.
They're listening to it subliminally. They just put it on. They don't practice. They just put it on, let it play.
Mhm.
They're breaking through depression. They're breaking through anxiety. They're breaking through, like, for example, so I want to make sure I'm answering your questions in a
Yeah. No,
pointed
this is
way.
perfect. Yeah.
But we had a mom who, again, this was just testers. They didn't know what this was. She just put a meditation in her daughter's voice. My mommy is faster than your mommy, because this mother was a competitive racer. She listened to it on the way to the race. And at the toughest moment in the race, all she could hear was, my mommy is faster than your mommy. My mommy is, right?
Over and over
Looping,
and over.
looping. She said in that moment, it helped her find another gear. And she won first place, right?
Right.
This is taking advantage of the repetitive nature of your brain, right?
Mhm.
Your brain learns by meditation, neuroplasticity. Your brain changes, your brain evolves by repetition,
Mhm.
right? If you sit and do this on the piano every day and you get good at it, you just changed your brain,
Mhm.
right? It works that way.
Yeah.
We've had people, um, that's more on the athlete side.
Right.
We've had a friend of mine who had a knee surgery, frustrated, not getting better as fast as they wanted to. Again, testers, not thinking that what don't know they didn't hear a pitch about science. This is just, I'm trying this app out. Made a meditation. I trust my body to heal. I trust my body to heal. So they're at the therapist's office, can't do any leg extensions on that knee. Remember, they had the meditation, the app in their phone. Finally was like, let me just try this because I'm
Right.
so frustrated.
Right.
Listen to it for 60 seconds. Did 10 reps. Why?
Mhm.
What happened? You could do none. You listen to your own voice, tell yourself, I trust my body to heal.
Mhm.
That's what we're really doing the study at WashU, to figure out, why is this helping people break through?
Right.
Like, what did that self message unlock?
Mhm.
And then it showed up physically in your body, right?
Wow. And I think the self is important, but also, for self-esteem and the way that you have a daughter and I have two daughters, it's like the way that they think about themselves and hearing things in their mind.
Exactly.
That stuff's important, dude.
It is important.
I got introduced to the law of attraction when I was in high school, and a lot of people have mixed beliefs about those things. But when you change the way you say "I am" or "I
Mm,
get to," like I get to go home and take care of my two babies tonight, instead of be
huge.
like I have to go to get home
Mm-hmm.
and take care of my like the way you say that thing.
Yeah.
I get to go to work
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow and be busy. Sometimes like my wife called me out the other day. She said, "Stop complaining about your blessings."
Mm.
Because I was like, man, everybody was asking me to do stuff today. It's like, wow, you're so lucky that people are asking you to do
Yeah.
something for you.
Huge.
Because I'm like, I have employees, I have my like family, my kids. It's like, wow, there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people like, when you guys were in your journey with the baby man, I wish I could go change some diapers tonight. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you've been there, and now you're
Yes.
like, I'll change that diaper whenever,
Yeah.
all day, every day.
Every day. Man,
So the law of attraction, how does that tie into some of those studies? Because it basically what you're saying is the affirmations of I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am, all these different things.
yeah.
So,
I think we're trying to separate it a little bit
of
from
course.
the esoteric world.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm huge on that.
Hmm.
And I think your brain and your nervous system really can um, create things for you and with you. And if you really internalize certain ideas
Hmm.
and you really feel those ideas and ideals and you hold those things, you're tapping into a natural creative force that I believe every human has.
Hmm.
So like the law of attraction is like branding, right? It's kind of like
Hmm.
a title, but like your brain, your nervous system, they're powerful. And most of us have sick brains, that make us feel anxious or depressed
Hmm.
or just unmotivated or stuck,
Right.
right? Or limited.
Hmm.
And sometimes you just need a message pounding into your head
Mm-hmm.
that helps
So
you
what's the
change
goal
that.
to use? Like, is there a time, like, I want people to use this 60 seconds a day, or like, do you have that, or is it just by use? Because some people only need 60 seconds, but some people might need to sit and lay
I
down to
think it
this.
depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the situation.
Yeah.
Again, I had a friend of mine who going through a divorce, very stuck,
Yeah.
feeling stuck, unmotivated. You know how like when you go through a stuck phase, like your house is a wreck,
Yeah.
like it just shows,
Right.
right?
Right.
He called me yesterday. Again, these are people don't know about the science. They just tried it.
Yeah.
He said, "Bro, I gotta tell you, I listened to it. I went to sleep to it. I woke up to it, and I just kept it playing on my phone for like a day and a half, just kind of subliminally. I'm just going about my day."
Right.
He's like, "Bro, I'm so motivated. I'm so hyped to like clean." And he's like, it just changed
Yeah.
the space he was in. We've
Mm-hmm.
had people suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
Just let it play on a Bluetooth speaker.
Right.
Again, they don't know what's going to happen. 2 days later, feeling better, planning their future, thinking about life, not thinking about, am I going to end my life, but thinking about a new job. They're motivated, applying for new jobs.
Right.
People, I have a friend, sorry, I can go on and
No.
on,
Yeah,
but
you're good, man. You got time.
a,
Yeah.
a friend of mine who drives a lot because he's like, for his job.
Yeah.
And, oh man, he's like, oh man, financially, I just don't know. The winter's coming up. I don't know. I got to figure this out for my kids. He made a meditation. I am a money magnet and just played it in the car driving around.
Mm-hmm.
3 months, within 3 months, he was buying new properties. He had changed the trajectory of his life. You have to ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the trying, like, oh, I'm going to try to meditate, that actually gets in our way versus having a tool that it's not about your skill. It's just about helping your brain see your situation better.
Right.
It's about, I'll use an esoteric word, frequency,
Yeah.
almost,
Mm-hmm.
It's about that sometimes. And
Yeah.
that's what we really want the world to know. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is for those who are focused on meditation and are pros.
Yeah.
And this is for those who know nothing about meditation, but just need something different.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other app doing this.
Right. And I like the social aspect of it, not even really social, like social media, but the social aspect of friends and family, of
It
like
should be
something that
normal.
you can be involved with, or if it's like, man, I really want to hear my daughter's voice
There you
telling
go.
me this when I'm at
Think
work.
about
If I could just play her voice real quick. Okay.
boom.
I'm ready. Clock back in.
Think about
Yeah.
soldiers who
Mm.
might be deployed
Mm-hmm.
and they want to make a meditation for their kids who are home
When they go to sleep.
when they go to sleep.
Done.
Think about
Yeah.
a grandparent who may be in the hospital, really feeling like giving up or frustrated with whatever they may go. Maybe they don't want to hear their own. Maybe they want to hear their grandkid's voice that gives them that extra fight.
Yeah. Let me
to
stay here a
get-
little longer.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like what we need tools. I feel like we're gonna go super deep if you don't mind, really
No,
quick.
you're good.
We don't
You're
have to
good.
stay here, but let me
Yeah.
just go here really quick. There needs to be, and there are some, but I think we're the first super practical tool
Mm-hmm.
that is designed to help us work on our sick brains.
Mm-hmm.
No shade to medication and pills, because I've taken some too, but this is a tool that's going to help your brain to either excel or heal itself or cure itself, right? I'm not making that as a claim. I'm just saying try it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working with our neural team to figure out why this is working for people, right? But there is more tools coming. I just think we're one of the easiest ones right now to help you intentionally evolve your brain and change its habits.
Mm-hmm.
Where we're going with AI and all of that, we're going to need ways to just feel better.
Right.
Feel better more often.
Mm-hmm.
Simple tools to change our brain's habits. That's what I think we're offering on a grand scale. Right? On a simple scale, this is about easily sharing meditations with your family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
Do it in your voice. Do it in your family's voice. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, Why doesn't that exist? Why aren't we able to share meditations with each other?
Mm-hmm.
Something simple.
And it's not like sending a voice memo on your phone that disappears, or
Yeah,
like you
it's a
say, "Hey, baby,
concept.
love you, good night," and it disappears. And then like iPhone says
Exactly.
like it like delivers and it's gone.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So we got the science side, but then you have a music team
yeah.
who wants the experience to be as crystal clear as possible. This should feel like a
Studio
recording
quality.
studio experience.
Yeah.
And that's what though we're bringing those two worlds together. Um, we think it's groundbreaking,
So
man.
walk me through like so I'm gonna download it right now, but walk me through. I press the little blue microphone at the bottom and I record something, and then it gets mastered, or you have the technology in the app
Hmm.
that then turns it into a mastered loop that quiets it, slows it down. Like
Correct.
you don't have to like do the
No
whispering.
way. You say
Okay.
it one time, press stop, name it.
Okay. And it could just be like, I am the best husband, or I am
Yeah.
the best dad.
I had a friend.
My wife's like,
I'm
don't
gonna
say
look.
that. My
I'm
wife's
looking.
listening, like,
You
chill.
should. You should say it. I'm gonna just grab his meditation. His meditation was, and this is something he thought of. This wasn't from the app. The app has a bunch of options for you to choose from,
Yeah.
but his was, I am balanced and focused. So maybe he felt he was imbalanced. Maybe he felt he was lacking focus. Something like that. I am balanced and focused. You record it. I can demonstrate it.
Yeah, demonstrate it. Yeah.
You might not be able to see it, but
Yeah.
I'll demonstrate it. Okay. I am balanced and focused.
Put it up to the mic.
So I'm going to name that balanced. I am balanced and focused. Right? It's in there. Done. I tap done. It goes to the play page. You choose your soundscape. I'm going to choose morning birds. And then you tap play. I am balanced and focused. I am balanced. So it's going to loop itself, right? Let me change that because I want it to be morning birds. I missed the button.
Mm-hmm.
I am balanced and focused. So now I'm gonna take the music out. Right?
Yeah.
I am balanced and focused. I'm gonna add some reverb. I am balanced and focused. I'm gonna speed up the loop a little. I am balanced and focused.
Mm-hmm.
I am balanced.
And you just pop the music right back on if you
Bring
want.
the music right back in. I am balanced and focused. I am balanced. Personalize it. This is just version 1. I am balanced. Now the vocal's a little too loud, so I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. Right.
And that's where you're saying it faintly in the background. You're hearing it because you don't want it, like, and then you have the music and it's just peace.
You can just turn it down.
Yeah.
And just let this play. I'm gonna go wash the dishes, but this is playing.
Right.
You're gonna start
I
feeling
feel
that.
better right now.
You
It's
get what I'm
nice.
saying?
Yeah, that feels nice. That's good.
So
I didn't know it was all that. I thought you guys had to like send it back and then, it's just all in there.
Instant. I did that in seconds.
Right.
So like you'll get used
And
to
then
it.
I can create that and then share it with someone.
Oh yeah.
With my wife.
Well, yes.
Yes.
Well, this is version
You have
number
the
1.
account. Yeah.
Version number 1. And you'll be able to not share the full meditation, but just the vocal.
Okay.
So what we're setting up now is you'll share just that vocal with a family member,
And then they customize it.
and then they can add their own soundscape, whatever they want. They can
Depending on the time of day
customize
they
it.
want to listen to it. Yeah.
They can customize it however they want, right?
Wow.
So the version that's in the App Store right now, that capability is not there.
Yeah. But it's coming.
But yeah, 30 days, it'll be there as an update.
Wow. So I'm trying to think of like ways that, let's say, you mentioned your dad, and it's like, okay, like, man, if I wish I just had a couple, is there ways I can upload external sound, or is that going to start coming
soon.
too? Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah. Because then you could upload a voicemail message,
Exactly.
even if it's just like, I love you, son. Then you just cut that part.
There you go.
And then now with AI, obviously, you'll be able to maybe even have them say stuff that they never said before.
Literally.
Too. Really, that's coming too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's why when you onboard,
Yeah.
you'll see we ask, I want to make meditations, and then you get the choice in my voice, a loved one's voice, or an AI voice, right? So it's just strategically, we needed to get to market quickly.
Of course.
Do some analysis. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's get some signal from how people feel about this.
Yeah.
And then we want to obviously retain people. So we're going to offer them the AI. We're gonna offer them the ability to share. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're
You just
rolling
keep
these
making it
things
better.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep adding effects.
Right.
I have a
You're
long
doing all
list of
that in your
effects.
studio and everything. Yeah.
Basically, whatever you can do that makes sense for this process
Mm-hmm.
in a studio, we're gonna have it in here. We
Mm-hmm.
already have a few ready. We gotta, like I said, we're rolling this out a certain kind of way.
And this is probably already a thought, but eventually it's like, man, I heard somebody say something that would be good for our open source market. Are you able to then maybe, have them or maybe purchase that to like then other people can listen to a certain one?
That's the part we haven't figured out yet.
I
So
think
we
that could be, and it reminds me of other apps that have done that before, where
like a celebrity voice.
yeah, but like
Mhm.
even then, but it's like maybe this person, but since yours is just one, it's not like a story. Like you
Mhm.
could buy like on the other apps, that you might be able to buy a story, a bedtime story or whatever. That's different, but it's like maybe you mentioned like finance, grounding and all these different things. Those are the different sounds, or are those just the different maybe categories and stuff?
Categories of affirmation suggestions.
Okay, I didn't know if there was
Yeah.
public ones that you could listen to in
We
there.
do have public ones. So
Yeah.
our YouTube page is
Yeah.
more of free meditations. There'll be longer ones. We'll have them on there. You know how like you can go and like listen to the
An
ocean.
hour-long YouTube
There
video.
you go.
Yeah.
We'll have meditations or hypno loops in other people's voices.
Yeah.
And people can just like while they're studying go listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Believe it or not, it's already just people are just finding it.
Right.
And we just posted it. So yeah,
that stuff does well. Yeah. And that just drives them right back to your app.
Well, let me ask you this. Exactly.
Yeah.
We already have set, I think, around the 90-day mark to do this. Like, so we have a couple celebs. I'm coming from the music industry, so I know we're going to pull in all my friends and favors I can ask. But we have one actress who, not a huge actress, but definitely making some waves. Had a movie with Mark Wahlberg, kind of growing. But they have their own affirmations that got them through a situation. So we could have a celebrity come in and not necessarily have their voice.
Right.
But what do you think of them saying, here's 10 affirmations that you can record in your voice that helped me through a situation?
And it's like prompts. It's like, try this,
No, it's like, I'll show you. I don't know if the camera can see it, but I'll just let you see really quick. So when you go to the affirmation section, like rooted emotions is a category.
Yeah.
Just straight affirmations in there.
Okay, it gives you little suggestions.
Yeah, you can like the. Oops, sorry, I selected one by accident, but you can like these.
Yeah.
And collect them, save them, right?
So, like, you're asking me, like, that feature of like, would it be celebrity ones, or would it just basically be like, here's here's this money influencer talking about his money affirmations, and here's this successful actress talking about
an affirmation that they use to get them through life.
An athlete, like here's a professional basketball player talking about some things that he says, and you might see that as a young 17-year-old athlete, and you're like, okay, I want to try that. It's like
you can feed your brain the same things that they feed their brain.
But it's not their voice. It's just, hey, record this.
That's the question.
You think the power of your voice and family's voices compared to listening to somebody else's voice is probably stronger. And I think that's probably true, is what you guys are studying right now.
That's what we're studying, but also that's what most people in the space are saying. They're saying whether you like listening to your voice or not, you're listening to it with all the negative talk and you're believing it.
Yeah, but then you'll pull up like Gary V. He's a guy that I used to like all the time.
I love
and Gary V, but he's like screaming. It's like, that's not how I would talk to myself.
Yeah.
But I like his content of what he's saying.
Yeah. It's a decision that's not final yet on that one. Like, do we want other people's voices in there?
Yeah.
How do we even approach that? Do we list it in the AI area?
But I think to your point, and now I'm understanding it more, it's like there is the power of you, because I could listen to Gary V tell me to do all these things, but then I'll go home and tell myself completely different. So it's like, hey, try saying this. It's like writing stuff down. There's power in actually writing.
Sure.
A song, like, I don't know if you ever used to write songs. If you would type them, you probably always write them.
No, I started off writing, then I typed them.
Yeah, but there was it didn't matter for you.
Over time, it didn't matter. I like in the beginning, I didn't want to write them on paper, but
and then you'd lose them, and then you'd be like, man, where'd that song go? What did I say?
Book or a notebook.
Yeah. But I think there's power in you. But like, I do like the not the prompts, but like the things of like suggestions of like, here, try this one, try this one.
Nobody
but they
knows
can
what
say
to record.
Anything. Yeah.
You can record. There's a write your own section in here too.
Yeah.
We're gonna be on
YouTube.
Studio STL this Friday too, by the
Nice.
way. But yeah, you can write your own. I've had personal issue. I'm 47, and my wife doesn't want me to talk. Because most of this is the root of this. Is my brain was very sick,
right?
And like, from my dad passing away and then our son passing away, I just needed this, and this is what got us through. This even got us through the passing away of our son. And we found an affirmation that we listened to, and it was, I embrace, love, and release grief. Or I embrace, love, and let go of grief. And we just kept listening to that, and it became harder to like grieve, because then we were like celebrating what we did have. We were loving our son. And sometimes it's just those phrases that can help you get out of those clunky spaces in your brain.
Right.
If you listen to it, you're like, this is better. And I'm going to lean into this message. Yeah.
And that's that founding story of like, man, that's what. And then you were just like, oh, let me just pull it up and record real quick and just see what it sounds like on studio quality. And then you're like, okay, let me. And then you just looped it, and you're like,
I looped it because it's just easy to do in Pro Tools, which is what I use to record music. And it just, as a creator, if me and you were in the studio, I would try to make something that you love to listen to.
Right.
I would try to make it sound pleasing to your ear. Like, that's where the whole looping came from, because I could have just made it repeat.
Right.
But the looping just created a rhythm that felt more hooky to my brain.
Down.
Yeah.
Down.
The rhythm, my brain could catch it for some reason, right? And then
instead of just the same thing over and over, same volume, same
it's
thing.
harder to listen to it. It doesn't feel good.
It's annoying
to
almost.
It gets annoying.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It gets annoying. So then all of a sudden, you put the soundscapes with it, which are they have their own science.
Yeah.
Those frequencies help the brain relax, period.
Right.
But we produced them to fit together perfectly.
Yeah.
Which is why I just think.
I have a quick idea for you too, just like thinking of your social media strategy of like, how can you build a social media following off your affirmations of like, like every day it's like a 60-second break video that's just like a loop with like cool like waves and like little fonts, and like that's like just thinking, I'm like, man, that would really be like a scroll stopper. It's like, hey, let me just put your, like the caption is, put your phone down for 60 seconds, turn off your phone.
Yeah.
Because I think that like these things do not help anything that you're talking about either, because the second you see somebody with their son, when you were going through that things, you're happy for them, but you're sad still.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, man, I'm so happy for you, but like also I'm like really sad because I'm seeing stuff.
Pain.
I'm seeing social every time you see something, and that's like one thing is like it's hard to get away from it now with social media. So no, I think what you guys are building is incredible, and and whether boosting confidence. I'm reading some more stuff on your website, easing anxiety, improving focus, and then we really didn't talk much about the sleep, but I know there's so many sleep benefits too. We kind of focus more on that anxiety because that's a huge thing.
It's a huge thing right now.
Yeah,
but
been a huge thing.
I call it like a lullaby for your brain. Like again, you're talking about. Now I have a science team, and like we're like really, but just at the beginning. It would just be like, I can't shut my brain up.
Right.
I need something to listen to. And 100% of the time, I would fall asleep. I would wake myself up snoring. I'd be like, I don't know if this is going to work. Let me just play this, message to myself, whatever. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I fell asleep. I didn't even realize I fell asleep. You know what I mean? So that's. We're just excited, man. It's a very simple concept, but self-messaging, I think, is one of the ways. I'm not gonna say somebody isn't gonna. This sector won't advance,
right?
But I think self-messaging is one of the ways that we're gonna really, as humans, be intentional about healing our brains and curing those bad habits. And then let's go way out on a ledge for a second. If we change our brains, what does that mean for the future and for future generations? Because like most of our habits that our brain has are just evolution and just like passed down.
Yeah, and down and down.
And down and down.
So our kids and
So what happens when we start making our brain less sick and like helping it function in a way where we can enjoy life more?
Right.
Does that then gradually and eventually pass down and down and down? What happens to humanity if we're just
I love it,
feeling better?
I love
That's
it.
like,
That's the future,
in my mind, the future. But right now, let's just feel better, man. Let's
Right.
just
Feel a
use
little
a
bit better
tool.
today,
Yeah.
Feel a lot a bit better over
And have
time.
fun with it. Like,
Right. That was
imagine
fun. That was pretty
couples.
cool. That was pretty
Imagine couples struggling, right?
Yeah.
We have affirmations for couples
Yeah.
that are like, we don't want you to have to think that hard about what to record.
Because it's awkward. You're like, what am I gonna say? And then you put it up in
Yeah.
your boyfriend's face, and he's just like trying to say something like, "I love you," or like,
Exactly.
"I'm in a healthy relationship," or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the first couple. I just clicked on love and connection, that category. The right person is coming into my life.
Mm-hmm.
That's not, just put that on in the background. It'll help you relax about it.
Right.
Because sometimes we're like, I'm going to be alone, right? Versus the right person is coming into my life. Allowing that to sink into your brain, your nervous system.
Right.
You'll be surprised. I could go on. I'm telling you, we're setting that up for people to really be able to just relax.
Well, you got to make it, in this day and age, you make it easy. And the one thing I like on your website here is, Hypno Loops is the world's first meditation recording studio designed for you to record, personalize, and share meditations in seconds. And you guys are listening to the episode. You just heard it. Obviously, I didn't know it was that quick, so I just learned something today too. So, for those interested in learning more, you can go to hypnoloops.com. You can download the app on iOS, on Android, all the different.
Not on Android,
not
just
on
iOS.
Android, on iOS.
Just iOS.
Okay.
Because we're just getting signal.
Yeah.
We haven't raised.
Yeah.
Like, trying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're Arch Grants and Hypno Loops are just running out on the field. You know what I mean?
You're just out there.
We're running out.
Well,
And
good thing
MTC.
majority of people have Apple phones.
That's right.
That listen to my podcast at least. So, download the app, guys. Give it a try. Obviously, support a St. Louis entrepreneur. Support a St. Louis story. But no, Marlon, thank you for coming on today, man. I appreciate you,
man. I hope I didn't say too much.
No, you said just enough, man.
Yeah. This was amazing.
But any final thoughts on where people can find you or they can follow you? I mean, are you documenting?
Follow us everywhere. Hypno Loops app. That's our tag on TikTok and Instagram. You're gonna start seeing the ads rolling out next week, and we're excited for you to try it. We'll be on Studio STL.
Yeah.
This Friday from at around 9:30
Yeah.
a.m.
Let's go.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna help you make this year really count. I'll say one more thing that I didn't want to say. I'll say this is for somebody, and maybe not for everybody, but this is for somebody. You don't have time to get stuck in that old narrative. This is a tool that will help you rewrite those old narratives that sound and feel like the truth, but they're just lies. It's just bad habits. Your brain has a habit, and you can change it. You can change it.
See you guys next week.
Today they rep St. Louis, yeah. They rep St. Louis. They rep St. Louis.